Hey, what's up folks? In this video I'm going to share with you some coloring techniques that I use when I start off a composition. So we're going to use the inks for this particular piece. We're going to start fresh with a brand new canvas, so let's go ahead and get started. So first thing I'm going to do is just copy the inks over. So this is what I have to start with. When I begin working, I think about foreground, midground, and background. So in this particular case, I've got some creatures that are towards the front. I've got the super scroll, I've got the thing in the midground, and I've got this other rock guy in the background. I've got the Silver Surfer also in the background. So I have to think about foreground, midground, background. And what I'm going to do first of all is just isolate the characters from the background. So I'm just using my magic wand tool, making sure that it's set to sample all layers, make sure that it's also set to contiguous. And I'm just going to go through here and pick all the areas that are not the characters. And I'll make a brand new layer underneath. I'll just start off with a hot red color so we can see what's going on. Once I have that, I can always command click the layer that contains that red background, and I can hit Shift Command I to inverse the selection. And then on a new layer, I'll go ahead and use a contrasting color, blue. And the purpose of this video is not to show you my entire coloring process in one fell swoop, because I think that might just bore some of you to death. But it is to go ahead and say how I isolate the colors when I'm thinking about creating depth in a composition. So what I'll do here is I'll just make a sloppy selection around this rock character that's on the far right. I'm using the Lasso Tool to do that. I've got the base layer here, the blue layer. I'm going to hit Command J. It puts that layer onto its selection onto its own layer, and I can make that dark. And right away you can see what that does is when I make that a little bit darker, that is pushing the viewer into the midground. And similarly for the guy that's on the left, I'm going to do the same thing. Just take the Lasso Tool, go back to my base blue layer, Command J, Command U, and that puts us right into the midground. Now, the main characters here are the Super Skrull, Thing, and the Silver Surfer. The other rock guy that's here, and what I like about this technique is I can be really sloppy with my selections like this, and it doesn't matter. Command J. Let me just go ahead and desat him a little bit. Maybe make him blue. So now the emphasis is now on our three main characters. Now for the surfer, since he's in the background, I'm going to pick a lighter value for him. So I'll hit Command J and bump that up. So by thinking about foreground, midground, background, I'm kind of isolating the characters. I'm also thinking about where I want the viewer to look and what is the most important thing that the viewer needs to take away from this composition. So these selection techniques work really, really well when you're trying to quickly color things up. I'll give you just another quick demo here. If I take the thing, if I want to go ahead and start coloring the thing, I can just go back to my base blue layer. I'll use my Lasso Tool, and I'll just make a really sloppy selection like this. Doesn't really matter. Command J, Command U. I can go ahead and now make that orange. I can bump up the saturation, do whatever I need to do, and I can start coloring. Now, why can I make sloppy selections, and how does that work exactly? Like, okay, well, because I have got this red layer that I created at the very beginning, right? There's that red layer. And when I'm selecting from my base blue layer, it already keeps that silhouette pretty much intact, right? So from there, what I can do is on Ben Grimm, for example, all the areas that are white, just use my Lasso Tool, or I can use my magic wand. I'm on the orange color layer, Command J, Command U, and use my hue saturation. Hue saturation is keyboard shortcut Command U. Now for things like his teeth, it's just faster for me. Instead of having to use the magic wand tool, I'll just go ahead and make a quick selection like this. Go back to my base layer, Command J, Command U. Boom. And it makes just short work of coloring. I color a lot faster this way. Not that speed is everything, but if you do have a deadline that you have to hit, it does make a big difference. And the beauty of this approach is that I can get a sense of what my color flats look like relatively quickly before I begin to start experimenting with my highlights, my midtones, and my dark values. So isolate your layout in terms of depth. Foreground, midground, background. In this particular case, my foreground characters, they're not the focus, so I'm using darker values for them. I want to push the viewer from the foreground into the midground, which is where the Super Skrull and the Silver Surfer and the Thing are generally in that specific area. So I can always use that as an influence here, like for example with the Surfer, if I want to kind of establish a light source here, maybe the light source is, facing the viewer. So I'll just use a quick Lasso Tool selection. Again, I'm not being super precious about this, but Command J, Command U, and then I can come back in with my white brush and tidy things up a little bit and make it look nice and pretty. And everything basically facing the viewer is receiving that light. So, super quick tip, and it's just one of the things that I use in my tool belt to go ahead and quickly color. If you have any questions about what I've done here, please let me know. Drop me a comment, or just reach out to me on the various social medias that I'm on, and let's chat about it. And if you're using some of these techniques, I'd love to see you, what you're working on. So tag me in your work, and I'm on Instagram. Krishna Draws on Instagram. So let me know what you've done, and I'd love to see it. Again, thanks so much for watching. I will catch you in the next one.